Support for First Coast Connect is provided in part by Baptist Health and North Florida TPO.
Good morning, I'm Ann Schindler, and this is First Coast Connect. Today, The Weight of Water. A local exhibit explores Black history and identity through paintings of partially submerged figures. We talk to the artist behind the remarkable exhibit. Later in the program, a free tree giveaway and running for more than just the fun of it. But first, Calida Rawles calls her work a family affair, and much of it features her own children and other relatives. But the story she tells is of a much broader relationship between the African-American community and both the historical trauma and healing power of water. Her exhibit at the Cummer Museum of Art and Gardens is called Away with the Tides. I had a chance to sit down with her when she visited Jacksonville earlier this week. Let's take a listen. Calida Rawles, thanks so much for being here today.
Oh, hi. Thank you so much for having me.
So your show at the Cummer is called Away with the Tides, and water is really a central image. It is a dominant image in a lot of ways in the work that you do. Can you talk a little bit about just how you got into water, physically as a painter, spiritually, kind of what that immersion process was like?
Well, it started with, it's really funny, me seeing a parent at one of my kids' schools, and she looked like she was in great shape. And I said, "What are you doing? I want to do your exercise plan." And she told me she was a part of a swim program at LMU. And so I said I wanted to join. I went there very confidently. I was a person that used to go to the public pool as a kid and really enjoyed swimming, but I really wasn't a swimmer. And I didn't know that until I got there. So I go to this master swim class.
Oh, a master's.
Yes. I don't even know how delusional I was, but I went to this master swim class and said, "Oh, I can swim." And the coach asked me to swim across the lane and see where to place me. And I could hardly get across halfway without holding that rope and embarrassing myself. And then I got to the wall, and then I was freaked out about coming back. And the coach said, "Hey, just take this kickboard and go back and forth." And so I felt challenged with that, because even my own perception of what swimming was, I thought I could swim, and I don't know why. And so I went back, and the coach was very wonderful and patient with me. And she used me as an example later about how, anyone could swim. You see Calida here, when she came, she couldn't even get across. But I would go back 2 to 3 times a week, and she taught me each stroke at a time. And until I was moving up the lanes and really swimming with people that swam in the ocean, and they were all part of swim clubs. And it was during the day, like a noon class, which is the worst for your skin, but it's the most beautiful thing when you see the light hitting the pool at noon. It was so bright, these lights. And I would see it, and it just looked so majestic and peaceful. And it didn't matter how or what was going on in my life. It's anything stressful I brought to the pool that day, of things with my kids or my family or outside. I felt lighter physically and emotionally after I got out of the pool. And I started thinking, how could I bring this into my art practice? How could I don't know. And I just started thinking of it like I could talk about difficult and divisive issues using water, because it's so beautiful. It's enchanting. And it also has, it is something that everyone has their own personal relationship with. If you're afraid of water, no matter what I paint, you may see someone drowning. And if you see it as a place of leisure, when you look at my work, you may see someone relaxing and basking in the sun. So it gives context and a reflection of your own relationship. And then I could also use my hyperrealistic style to play with abstraction as well, because what it does to the body, it became more interesting.
Yeah.
Like I naturally can paint what I see, but a camera can do that. It can capture something. But when I was capturing like abstraction in the water, and that was like visually in front of me, that became very intriguing, and I wanted to paint that and explore that further.
I encourage people, if they're just listening, to check out today's live stream, because we are showing images, and your photos, your paintings look like photos.
Yeah.
They are, as you say, these hyper realistic. and just really compelling, beautiful images, but also very evocative, very ethereal. And like you say, when you kind of get up close on these paintings, the distortion of the water does this thing to the body, and it, in a lot of ways, almost deteriorates under the water. The way that you've created the reflection and the movement of the water, the body itself is almost broken apart in some ways.
Yes.
And so it is it's just an amazing thing to see. I feel like looking at water is even hard. It moves the minute you see it. I feel like painting it must be incredibly challenging. And I know that you're very good at, rendering something accurately because it looks like a photograph in a lot of ways. But how do you paint water? How do you view water? How do you kind of nail it down in a way that you're able to depict it?
That's a good question. And people ask me that all the time. I don't really know. It's like I can see it. I can see it's just about light reflection. And I think it's maybe challenging for others because they get overwhelmed because it's so much information. But if you can break it down like anything else that you paint or render, it's just shape and form and light, you know? But I think I was challenged by that, and that's what I keep doing with my work. I love to challenge myself. And if you look at my portfolio of work from, I do switch it up. Yeah. I do have fun pushing the boundaries of what I can do with water, from color. I mean, some color, to, like the greens and blues and the variations. It's really just fun. I'm trying to enjoy myself through it.
Yeah.
But it is hard.
They're beautiful to look at. I think that in some ways they can be soothing or just make you think of things in history, things in the world. In most of them, somebody's kind of breaching the surface, either seeing them from below or above. And I think of all of these things that kind of surface, whether it's fears or dreams or secrets.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about just the metaphorical layer of your work and kind of what it is that you're bringing to the surface when you're creating a piece of art.
Well, it depends on the piece and what I want to say, but water itself it's like a metaphor to me of life, that it is something that you experience, that we have moments of just pure joy and you feel light, but at the same time, it is scary. It is many times dangerous. It's overwhelming. And it's really about walking and experiencing life with that balance of knowing that, living life fully, not from a viewer, but participant, is very scary at times. But if you can try to relax and breathe, all the things that you do when you swim, if you can take that practice into your life, push yourself further. One thing when I was really learning to swim, I was having a hard time because the teacher the coach was telling me to, push your head down further in the water. And that is just not a natural instinct to go further in, but if you do lean further in, your feet come up and you can float better. But you'll see people sometimes swim in a way and their head is up and they're going against it. But if you can go further in and relax and trust the process, you'll go through faster and smoother. And I think of that. And I know that's even scary and sometimes, it's kind of simple, especially in today's times and everything going on. But I do try to think about that and breathe and move through fear.
I've heard you interviewed. You are friends and I think former schoolmates with another artist who's also very acclaimed, Anne Sherald. She had a kind of extraordinary physical health journey that you were a part of. And I've seen you say that it inspired you in your own way in terms of envisioning your future and what was possible. And I just wonder if you could share that story.
Yes, for sure. Amy Sherald was a friend I studied art with in college. And when she was having a heart transplant, I went to be with her for a bit. we were always staying in contact, but it was a moment where her brother was sick and passing away from cancer. So her family was with their brother, her brother, her mother, and her sister during this time, but she was in the hospital waiting for her heart. So I flew to stay with her and be with her by her side while she waited this moment. And I remember when I walked in, she was like, "Oh, I'm applying to this program. And we're waiting for a heart, like any moment, And she's applying to these art programs, and she was like, "After I get this, I'm gonna win this this award, and then my career's gonna take off." And she just kept saying this over and over, right? And I was like, "Okay, great, but we're gonna wait for this heart to come, And it all happened, and it was just like this prophecy of being clear with your vision. And it didn't stop, like, at any moment. It was at a point that it was very scary, waiting. And when she won the award, and then she was, I can't remember the name of it that she won, but after she won this portrait award, she was nominated to do be considered for Michelle Obama's portrait, which she got. And then after that, the career took off. And I was like, okay, what if I believed in myself in that way? What if I said, I can make it as a career? What if I just take it and own it and see it, envision it? And it really helped me, because at the time, I was painting. I had, kids at home, and I'm painting in my kitchen, but it was always something like, how can you make a career from this? It didn't seem kind of possible, because maybe real reason it wasn't possible is because I didn't fully believe it, And so then I said, no, I'm going to get a studio outside my house. And I started making these plans deliberately. And she would just keep telling me, imagine yourself in the gallery. Like, art's nerd, just imagine, be there and do all of the things till you get there. And that advice and seeing the struggle, I pushed through, and my career took off it was a lot of work. Besides just visioning something, you got to put in the hours and be disciplined. Mm-hmm. And that was a game changer for me.
You've had sort of a non-traditional path to being a full-time artist. There was a time when you were a stay-at-home mom. You've
Mm-hmm.
taught before. You worked, I think, for a while with the Echo company.
Yes,
doing
I
graphic
did.
with the kind of the
I
rhino.
did T-shirts.
Yeah.
Yep, I did rhino T-shirts. I did a children's book. I was doing all different things. I wanted to be a creative, and I kept thinking I did graphic design. I worked as an art director, and I was these were all jobs that I understood working for someone. But when you're an artist and you're just on your own, something about that was, I think, in my brain, way more challenging for me to put together. And yeah.
And challenging too, because you have 4 children. It's not like you can just, put that life in a box. You have all kinds of obligations when have
Yes.
that many young people that you're taking care of. So I say that because your work ethic is really astounding. You have long, long hours in the studio.
Yeah.
You do these massive, some of your canvases are, smaller, but a lot of them are, 12 feet wide. They're huge, and I can't imagine how long they take, but just physically producing these, you spend whole days,
Yes.
Sun up to sundown.
Yeah.
In the studio. And so it is hard to do that and
Yes.
parent and all of the other things that go with that.
100%. In the evenings, afternoons, my kids would come to the studio. I have a little area upstairs at times that would have to do, or if I have to work on a weekend, my daughter would come. I have a little area, got clay. You keep going, put some paper on the wall, so I can keep my hours going. But it is hard. And I miss a lot of things too, and that's it. You have that mom guilt.
Yeah.
I had to learn to live with that, because I was once a parent that was so active in my school. And then I get to the point where I'm like, what's her teacher's name? Because I'm not there like I was. But that's where I was very blessed to have a partner. My husband had to pull another weight. It was like, okay, our whole family dynamic kind of shift. And but it was good. I think they are so happy and so proud of what I'm doing. I usually have we have a group chat where all the kids are on, and every day when I leave the studio, I take a picture of the work so they can see the work in progress and they can see how far I've gone each day. And they cheer me on or say, I don't like that part. Or, it's just really funny. They can see the progress and they're like, Mom, you're close.
I mean, they're in a lot of your pieces as well.
Yes. So they're a part of it. And they usually come to my shows, if I try to have them come as much as I can. My daughters were mad I didn't bring them to my London show. It was like,
Mom's going.
Yeah, it was too much. Yeah, it was a little too much to fly from Cali with all of them.
Yeah, yeah.
But I do try to make it like a family event because they're all sacrificing.
Yeah.
This is all of us are sacrificing for this dream to, push and create. And I think they're all creative in their own way.
I want to talk about the show that's at the Cummer Museum. You live in Los Angeles, but this project that is on display and is up through March is it rooted in Miami, is tells the story of residents in the Overtown area. Can you explain just who these people are and what you were conveying in their portraiture?
They are residents of Overtown. I was contacted to do a show at the Perez Museum. They asked for me to do a show, and they said they wanted something kind of site specific in a way, or just something that speaks to Miami. And at the time, I was I'm in California, and I only knew Miami as something I'd run in and visit and go see the Strip, the beach, and run out. So I did a little more research, and I was kind of thinking of untold stories, and also watching the news. I saw, the governor speaking about dismantling AP Black history, and it was fascinating to me because I was waiting for coverage from the perspective of Black people in Florida, and I never heard that. I never saw anyone interview someone Black to say, how does it feel that your history is not going to be taught on a certain level? Why is being disregarded? And so then I started thinking about Florida and the history, and at the same time, watching the news, I saw the governor reacting to the Department of Transportation discussing the Highway Act, right? And I was like, oh, saying, I think they said something like, oh, highways can't be racist. And on a surface level, I knew what he was saying, but the Eisenhower Federal Highway Act was designed to dismantle minority communities, and it came right through Florida, So, and that disrupted the growth of Overtown. That's right in Miami. So this community, and I asked, I said, do you mind if I know you were saying something about Miami, but can I do something with Overtown? Because that's something that reaches everyone as well. It's not just about Overtown. It is 41,000 miles of highway that Eisenhower constructed that was designed to, disrupt communities.
Yeah.
In a way,
Well, I mean, the interstate highway system, as you say, I mean, it was built to connect and to create paths of travel, but it was targeted at what was at the time called slum clearance.
Yes.
That it was targeting communities that they wanted gone, or in some cases just to sort of reinforce existing redlining that had occurred in those neighborhoods, to sort of partition white from Black neighborhoods particularly. And I-95 is a great example of that. I mean, a terrible example of that, but also here in Jacksonville.
Yes. And it's all over the country. But yes, it was to separate, people were coming together. And if you keep races separate, they won't know the humanity and the everyday of each other. And, if you're just looking at television, we become stereotypes, and it's easier for more things to happen.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking about that. And then, so I went to Overtown. I interviewed and talked to people there, recorded them. I even have a video in my show. And It was really wonderful. It was a great community 75% of the community had been displaced, but some people still had the roots and loved it, loved their home. They weren't going to leave. And I wanted to depict them, depict this love. I mean, I had experiences. I remember I went, and mind you, people in Miami will think, oh, it was Overtown. It's like they have like a stereotype of a scary community, which usually happens in certain minority communities. But I remember picking up one of the models, Miss Roll. In my show, they're just these hands that you'll see. It's a diptych, two canvases that are over top of each other and in these hands. But anyway, I went to go pick up Miss Roll, and she's an older woman that grew up in Overtown. And when I got there were these men outside the building, and they were like, "What are you doing here?" And they were like almost like guards. And I was like, "I'm here to speak to Miss Roll." And I was a little like, I don't know anybody here. I just, just picking up Miss Roll's upstairs. And he was like, "Where are you going to take her?" This guy got up, and I was like, "To the beach." He was like, "Are you going to feed her? She needs to eat lunch." And he started going through this whole thing. And I was like, when she came down, she was like, "Oh, don't worry about him. He's one of my neighbors down the street. She takes care of me." And you could just see this love of all these people there taking care of each other. And I'm like, this is not the story or relationship, this love within the community of people taking care of each other that is depicted when you think of Overtown, or a lot of communities of color, how there is a lot of joy, a lot of love, and a lot of compassion for others. And when I painted her hands, I took her to the beach because I really she kept talking to me about how much she loved the water as a child. And I took her there. It was a little too cold, and she was like in her 80s, so I was kind of afraid to put her in the water.
After you've been warned by the neighbors, right?
Yes. They scared her, like, "Bring her
place.
back. I need her. She can eat only this. I need you to do." And I was like, "Okay, sorry." So I just had her feet in the water, and I wanted to show like the rise of time. And you look at her hands, and you can see the age. Like what it made me think of my grandmother's hands, where you can see the veins raised up, and it's soft, but also that on each canvas the water is at a different level. So it kind of made me think of time and how it looked. If you look at it very quickly, it looks like the same canvas, but if you stay with it, you see that the water's lower and then higher, and just how time goes by so fast, you don't realize how much change is happening. I mean, I feel it all the time when I look at my hands or myself in the mirror. I'm like, what? How old am I now? But I was trying to depict time that's gone by and love and, and beauty with that piece anyway.
And so that's what's on exhibit at the Cummer. Some of your work, though, has been very topical in a way, even as it maintains its kind of, ethereal vibe, I guess. You have one piece in particular that I want to show to folks who are watching called High Tide Heavy Armor. Mm-hmm. Can you talk, first of all, about what the inspiration was for this in terms of, an actual person and an actual incident that happened? Because it was something that we all know about, having watched the news, but also brushed pretty closely to your own life.
Yes. I had a friend that I knew that was going through a hard time and was killed by the police. And it threw me off. He was actually a parent at my kid's daycare. And I don't know, it kind of like you see violence happening on the news, but for some reason, I don't know why you always think it's further away. You don't think that you could know someone or something like that could happen to someone that, I saw all the time at kids, the events at the school. And I knew I wanted to talk about the excessive force of police brutality that instead of going in with compassion with people, they use force. And so I started to record in different states some of the highest police killings at that time. And in the water, the states are hidden, but the shapes of the waves in that painting are echoing different states to the highest amounts. And I think there were I kind of can't remember right now, but like 20 states in there.
That were places where
Yeah, a
police
lot
had
of
killed.
police had killed hundreds of American citizens.
And this was the person that in particular that you knew was named Kurt Reinhold, and
Oh,
this
yes.
was an incident that happened in San Clemente in September of 2020.
Yes.
So a year where we were hearing lots of names,
Yes.
and there was a lot of protest around these incidents, and he'd kind of been jaywalking.
Yes.
And then, ran afoul, and as you said, he'd been having some issues. But this was somebody that you knew from your own child's daycare. He was a father. He was a soccer coach. And so it is, as I said, something that touches you closely. How do you approach, finding a model for this? What is your process when you're creating a piece like this?
Well, I used like one of my nephews as a model in it of he was almost like my atlas. There's, the figure at the bottom, and he's holding up. There's this large amount of water over him that's tumultuous, and it looked like it's cold. It's kind of icy blue, and it's these different directions. You could see it's breaking, and it's like his body is holding it up, but it's almost like chipped away. And I thought of that, of just this weight that's on our shoulders of watching our fellow American citizens, our brothers or sisters, our family members being wrongfully, I don't want to say attacked, but it's just not done with care. If you're going into a profession to try to protect, then you should care about who and how you go into things. And yes, someone jaywalking doesn't get killed by the police when they talk to you, it's gone too far. And I mean, we're seeing that today. It's gone a little too far. There's not compassion. There's not patience. They're not properly trained. And I know there was a time when people were saying, like, what was it? I don't remember the saying anymore, but like shut down the police, like
defund the police.
Was it? But it's really, there needs to be a training program. There needs to be an understanding of what the point is to keep everyone safe. And to, we're paying tax dollars for them to work, and they are for us. Yeah. But it seems like, I don't know, more of a police state, and it's getting very scary.
Another one of your models is also somebody that is a family to you, yes. And this was featured in an exhibit that was actually curated by Steve Martin.
Yes. Called
LA Story. It's kind of a spin-off of a book that he wrote and a film that he was in way back, in the 90s. But tell us a little bit about that. This one is called Ode to Millennial Armor.
Yes. I was really looking at my stepson, who's 33, and he's 32, he's about to be 33. I don't mean to age him. But I was thinking about LA, and it's a very, the millennials and how they convey and express themselves in this time, they have like so many tattoos. And I was looking at my son and these tattoos on him, and I was like, it's like an armor of some way, this way to express themselves that I don't relate to, as I'm a little older than that, like completely being tattooed up or having so many. And it's an ink town. LA has a history right now of tattooing, and it was just another way of expressing the identity of LA. So I used him as a model, and also, like, you can see the shadow, which is separate from him, feels like another spirit or energy that's behind him, and he looks powerful but beautiful. I was also as like kind of like my kids laugh at me because I'm always like, stop with the tattoos, you know what I mean? It was like an opportunity to look at them and appreciate them and love them, but this is the way you want to express yourself, to paint it, to honor it, because otherwise I'm like, did you get another one? What are you doing? I have the mother voice,
I can relate. I can relate. And so that is, that is not a piece that's at this Cummer show, but this Cummer show really is the story, as we said, of the Overtown community. And this interview is going to air after a panel discussion about the similarities in this community in terms of that divisiveness created by the interstate system specific to Sugar Hill, which is a historic, affluent Black community here in Jacksonville that was really divided and in many ways destroyed by the highway system here. So it's a story that, while it's not directly from this part of northeast of Florida, it is in fact a familiar story.
Yeah. And I think so many cities around the country have a familiar story. And so then it became larger than Miami, but it was also site specific, and that's what I was thinking of. I wanted to reach people and understand that when you look at communities in a way and you're wondering, where the funds are, what's happened, there's a history, and it's not because of the people there. Sometimes it's systematic.
Yeah. Well, it is an incredible body of work. And if people haven't had a chance to see it at the Cummer, they should definitely check it out. It's up through March 1st. It is called Calida Rawles, Away with the Tides. Calida Rawles, it's such a pleasure to talk to you. Thanks so much for being here today.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
All right. We'll be back in just a moment. Welcome back. Well, there is a lot of growth potential in Jacksonville this weekend, courtesy of Greenscape of Jacksonville. Their annual tree giveaway is this weekend, but it's coupled with a couple other eco-minded events. Here to tell us about it, we're joined by Dan Durbin, Executive Coordinator of Keep Jacksonville Beautiful. Good morning, Dan.
Good morning.
We're also joined by Rhonda Gracie, horticulturist at the University of North Florida. Rhonda, good morning.
Good morning.
And Nicole Kress, Executive Director of Greenscape of Jacksonville. Good morning, Nicole.
Good morning, Ann.
Am I right on your last name?
Cressy.
Cressy. I'm sorry. I think I knew that and I forgot. So apologies. Nicole Cressy, Executive Director, Greenscape of Jacksonville. Welcome. Thanks for being here. So let's start with this tree giveaway. It is an annual event, but some are familiar with it. Why did Greenscape start this annual giveaway?
Oh, well, thanks for that question, Ann. Yes, we're excited. This is our 36th annual Great Tree Giveaway. And this is the largest initiative in Northeast Florida to get trees onto private land. So it complements city initiatives to get land on, or trees onto public lands like the parks and roadways and things. And so Greenscape, realizing our role as a 51-year-old nonprofit now in helping to plant, protect, and promote trees, looked at a way to expand a reach pretty quickly. And so we're really excited to offer 1,800 trees this year. We have a variety of different trees, 10 different species to offer so that people can get the right tree in the right place on their property and help expand the tree canopy. And that's our ultimate goal.
And how impactful has Greenscape been in the years that it's been doing this giveaway?
Oh, so it's really amazing. I'm pretty new to the organization. I think I'm in my 4.5 month as the executive director, so I'm thrilled to see all the things that we've done. But this tree giveaway will take us to 356,744 trees credited to Northeast Florida between our tree plantings that we do and the tree distribution, which is our Great Tree Giveaway.
Wow, it's a lot of trees. And a big part of it is, Rhonda, making sure that a tree once planted lives, right?
Correct.
These are little saplings. They can be vulnerable to everything from drought to lawnmowers. How do you help people determine, what tree they should be selecting, where it should go in their yard, how they best care for it?
Yeah, so that goes to the Florida-friendly landscaping principles with right plant, right place. You want to make sure that you're looking at the tree you're selecting for your soil. Is it a moist site? Is it a dry site? And then the biggest thing, because trees in urban settings typically only live 7 to 15 years, suburban maybe goes up to 20 to 25 years on that life expectancy. And part of the problem is that we don't allow enough rooting space and canopy space for the tree. So you want to make sure that you're placing your tree far enough away from your foundation of your home. You might think that, oh, I just got this tree and it's going to get 60 feet tall, and it has a canopy of about 20 feet. I'll put it about 10 feet away from the foundation of my house, not thinking what that's going to look like in 20 years. And then 20 years goes by. Next thing you know, it's uplifting the foundation of your home and it gets removed. So we want to make sure that when you're selecting your tree, that you also give it plenty of space to grow. The younger saplings are great because they'll connect to the soil and all the other plants around it, they'll kind of actually communicate and they'll work with the mycorrhizae and stuff. So they will actually catch up to a tree that you could have planted larger in about 3 to 4 years and surpass it. It'll be more wind resistant. It's really fabulous. So
Yeah, anybody who wants to know about tree communication should read Overstory, which is a great book about, kind of how the trees, through their root systems, are, communicating through fungus. And it's a pretty extraordinary system that they've established. Dan, what is the involvement of Keep Jacksonville Beautiful in this event? Why are you participating? Why are you partnering in the first place?
Because we love Greenscape.
Yeah.
We also love trees. Excuse me. Basically, we started an event called America Recycles Day, back in 2010, and we would do recycled newspapers and electronics and things like that. In 2020, we partnered with Greenscape because we thought, that's great. They're giving away trees. We're taking the end product, which are the papers, to be recycled. And I guess you could say we branched out from just collecting the paper.
I see what you did there.
You see okay. So our role is basically to take the paper and have our partner, Republic Services, recycle it.
And so what does that look like, practically speaking, if people come to this event this weekend? What should they be thinking about bringing? How much can they bring? What is it?
That's a great question. They can bring up to 2 bags, 30-gallon bags, or 2 boxes. We're really kind of lenient. If they bring more, we're going to accept that because we do want to get it recycled. They'll drive through. They can either pick up a tree and drop off recycling, or just pick up a tree, or just drop off recycling.
And so this is a partnership, naturally, because it, helps people who are thinking green to sort of accomplish a couple of tasks at the same time. This is a 2-day event, though. So can you help us break down a little bit about what people attending could expect on either day?
Absolutely. And thanks. And we do partner with Keep Jack's Beautiful for this full life cycle, right? We're giving out the new trees and they're taking those trees to recycle. So that's a really cool aspect of the partnership that I want to highlight. So we actually do the staging for the event on Friday, and we'll be sharing with a ribbon cutting for a formal Arbor Day celebration for Florida's Arbor Day, which is now, because of the climate that we're in Florida, in lieu of April, where it is the typical Arbor Day in the country. So UNF will be celebrating their ribbon cutting for their first phase of tree planting. And then our formal Great Tree Giveaway and Paper Recycle Day is Saturday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at UNF Lot 18, which is near Hodges Stadium. And that is where we will have lanes for, a trees only group. We have, it's staging, so it's all drive through. There's trees only, trees and paper recycling, and only the paper recycling. We have route maps that are on our website, so people can see an easy traffic route. We're looking at queuing people in a parking lot so that it's really easy to do. And they can recycle their paper, as Dan mentioned, and we will give away up to 3 free trees per car on a first-come, first-served basis. We have 10 trees that we're offering, so we have a variety of native and Florida-friendly plants, trees that are here.
What are some of the trees that you're going to be offering?
Yeah, we've got a couple of fruit trees, which is really exciting. So we have pecan, we have persimmon, we have smaller and understory trees. So we've got crepe myrtles and our Dahoon hollies, and then we go into even bigger trees. So, we have a Shumard oak, which is a nice, a little bit more compact type of oak tree that is native to the area here. We have the southern crabapple, which is new. We're excited to have that. We have a bald cypress, which is a great tree for absorbing stormwater and rainwater. We also have black gum. And what else am I missing here? Sweet bay magnolia, and of course a red maple, which is a beautiful leaf changing.
Sure. So Rhonda, when it comes to the idea of right tree, right place, how is that changing as our climate warms? Are we starting to see trees that were traditionally thriving in this area not doing as well? Or are we starting to see trees that typically we would see in South Florida and now are starting to migrate to this area?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the actual climate zone map changed for half of Duval County a couple of years ago. So we're actually 5 degrees warmer than we used to be. So we are starting to see some of our trees, like our red buds, that like it a little bit cooler. struggling a little bit more. They're now a little bit better, like going up into Nassau, up into Georgia. We're starting to see a little bit of decline in them here because it's like on the border for being a little too warm. But then we're also picking up a lot of the trees that you would find in central Florida that would not survive before because it was a little too cold. So
I feel like you start to see Norfolk pines all the time now, which used to be those sort of crazy Dr. Seuss looking trees in South Florida. And I see them here all the time now.
yeah, they're starting to thrive. I wouldn't recommend those. We have some other beautiful pines
Okay.
that we can use
Good to know.
instead.
We've got a call I want to take from Charles on the west side. Good morning, Charles. Go ahead.
Good morning, everybody. I back in 1997, I went to the tree giveaway down on the South Bank, and I got a redbud, and a dogwood, a bald cypress, and a Japanese magnolia. Sad to say, the redbud didn't make it, but the other three, are still growing. I don't own that house anymore, but I've driven by, and they're still there.
That's great. Sounds like a successful tree planting. I mean, 3 out of 4 ain't bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I guess it is important for people to take that time while they're doing their drop off to maybe take a minute to get some advice about where to plant it, where's a good spot in the yard to pick.
Absolutely. We have a variety of partner liaisons who are arborists and qualified professionals to provide information. Our tree menu also has details of each of the tree species. We have videos on how to plant your tree correctly, information about watering, because again, we want to see the forest for the trees here and make sure that those trees survive and really contribute to the canopy. We've seen a 4% decrease in the canopy over the last, it was the 2013 to 2023. Those studies happen periodically at a state level. And so that is one thing that we want to counter here, making sure that these trees are healthy and contribute to the canopy, because those are the long-term, benefits. It's really cool. There's a amazing software, which hopefully we'll be able to continue. There's some funding issues, but we use iTree, which is a great way to capture projected benefits for the trees. And so our 1,800 trees, if they live to maturity, will have significant benefits that equate to about 3.88 million in economic and environmental benefits for our region. These trees will offset 4,600 cars being on the road for a full year in terms of CO2 reduction. We can do 515 Olympic-sized pools of rainwater kind of avoided or absorbed by these trees, which is really influential from green infrastructure perspective.
Well, we've got a link on our website both to Greenscape and the event and to Keep Jacksonville Beautiful if people are interested in attending the event. Again, Friday, January 16th, Saturday, January 17th. Dan Durbin, Rhonda Gracie, Nicole Cressy, thanks so much for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
All right. Up next, running for a cause or maybe a beer. We tell you what's on tap at the 2026 Donna Marathon Weekend.
AEG presents The Beach Boys, saluting 60 years of pet sounds with 2 shows at the Ponte Vedra Concert Hall, Monday, January 26th at 5 and 8:30 p.m. Tickets and information available at axs.com. Scenic Jacksonville presents the Great Cities Symposium on February 5th. Victor Dover, city builder and town planner, shares how he has transformed cities, streets, and neighborhoods through urban design across the U.S. Tickets available at scenicjacksonville.org. The Gamble Rogers Festival and St. John's Cultural Council present an evening of songwriting and musicianship by Robert Bolin and Will Mehring, live from the Waterworks, January 17th in St. Augustine. Tickets available at gamblerogersfest.org. Terrell Hogan Law.
I'm Wayne Hogan. Accidents can happen when you least expect it. For decades, our attorneys have dug out the facts to help juries decide who's at fault.
More at terrellhoganlaw.com.
In the 2025 budget bill, Congress created the $50 billion Rural Health Fund to help struggling hospitals, doctors, and patients in rural America. It might seem like a lot, but it's only a third of the amount of funding that those same places will lose due to massive Medicaid cuts in that same budget bill. So what will it take to keep rural healthcare afloat? That's on the next On Point.
Today at 11 on WJCT News 89.9.
President Trump made it clear he wants the Department of Education shut down. Education Secretary Linda McMahon is on board with that plan.
Education is local. It should be overseen locally by those who best know local needs.
1 year into the second Trump presidency, what's happening inside the Department of Education? Our series.gov continues next time on 1A.
Today, starting at 10 on WJCT News 89.9.
Welcome back. Well, it's an event that has gotten so expansive, you might have to run to keep up. But fortunately, we are joined by the ever nimble Amanda Napolitano, Executive Director of the Donna Foundation. Amanda, welcome back.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm a big fan, as you know.
Oh, well, same here. You are an organizer extraordinaire of this event. And as I said, it has gotten kind of more and more sprawling. I won't say unwieldy, but just kind of seems like every year there's a little bit one thing new just to kind of keep you on your toes. So the event is not for a couple weeks yet.
Yes.
Remind us of the weekend and also just when things really start to ramp up in terms of people needing to register and getting their bibs and all of that.
Absolutely. Well, Donna Marathon weekend is always the first Sunday in February. So this year it falls in January, because February 1st is the first Sunday in February. So we kick things off the morning of Friday, January the 30th, and run all weekend.
Run all weekend.
We run all weekend. We have our 2-day health and wellness expo that kicks things off. That's where everyone will come and pick up their packet. And we have breast health education happening for both days, presented by Mayo Clinic. Lots of learnings that way. And it's really fun. We're getting to return a little bit to our roots with the new Hilton at Mayo Clinic is our host for that.
And Mayo, of course, is a big part of this because, well, remind us, I mean, we can come back to some of the deets, but remind us the origin story of the Donna, because our mayor was involved at one point in the organization.
Yes, absolutely. So, Mayor Deegan is a 3-time breast cancer survivor, and she launched the Donna Foundation with her second diagnosis when she began to hear overwhelmingly from the community that they were struggling to make ends meet because they were having to have treatment for breast cancer. So the Donna Foundation really exists to serve those patients so they don't have to choose between putting food on the table and getting the breast cancer treatment that they need to be well. And her oncologist, Dr. Edith Perez, who was treating her breast cancer from Mayo Clinic, top researcher, really wanted to do some important work in breast cancer research. So Donna wanted to raise more money for families and for patients, and Dr. Perez wanted to raise more money for research back in the day. And they're both runners and marathoners, and they thought, is there a traditional national marathon for breast cancer? And the answer was no. So they teamed up with Jeff Galloway, and nearly 20 years ago, we launched the inaugural national marathon to finish breast cancer. This is the 19th year. And over the years, we've raised $3.3 million for genomics research at Mayo Clinic. The first few years of the race was actually conducted on their campus.
Yeah.
We started and finished from Mayo Clinic. So it really is rather a homecoming to bring parts of the event back to Mayo Clinic, because we're transforming our stadium, which hosted us for a number of years.
Downtown,
right? Little construction downtown. So we'll be, like I said, at the expo at the Hilton. And then all of the race events will be at Seawalk Pavilion, Latham Plaza,
all
in
at the
Jacksonville
beach.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And there are a lot of races for people who are marathoners and are competitive. This is a big race to run. So there are serious racers there, but it is not for a lot of us, a lot of people, what you would consider a fast race or route, because there's so much stopping and hugging and sharing of stories. People are wearing pink tutus and all kinds of costumes, and there are a variety of levels. So there's the marathon, the half marathon for people who are serious about what they're doing. But then there's, 5Ks. There's even this pub crawl, or excuse me, it is a Pete's Bar crawl.
Bar Donna crawl.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that is just a couple miles, and then you get to sit and have a beer and cheer everyone on.
Yeah. So the magic of this event, I think, is the coupling of our extraordinary community that comes out in droves along the course to cheer and support everyone, and knowing that you're out there putting one foot in front of the other for other people. So when you get sort of that magic together of community serving community, it just lifts everyone all through all the miles of all of the events. So on Saturday, we're going to have our 5K and the Donna Dash, which is an up to 1 mile run, walk, crawl for families and for anyone that just wants to join in the day. And then to your point, for the second year, our Pete's Bar Donna Crawl is on Sunday. You can start with the marathon and the half marathon, which is super fun to stand with 7,000 of your closest friends and be a part of that energy of the start.
Yeah.
But then peel off in the Beaches Town Center, where the course will go through 4 different times. So it's the perfect place to
And you
watch
just
your
say,
friends and
"So
family.
long."
And you say,
As
so
everybody-
long. I'm going to have, a little cold beverage at Pete's and then come out and cheer on the field for the rest of the day.
So it is a ton of fun. And, again, there's a lot of people that join that are not serious runners. They walk sometimes. That's not frowned upon. In fact,
No.
it's, welcomed.
Mhm.
For people, we have a link on our website to Donna stuff, but if you want to just go organically, where can they find you?
So breastcancermarathon.com is where all of the information lives. Please register if you're planning to run, because we are going to reach capacity across everything.
Yeah.
And Locals Rule is a program that our partners at the Jaguars have sponsored this year. They're still so supportive of us, even though we can't be in their complex this year. But if you use Locals Rule when you register, it'll save you $10.
All right. Well, Amanda Napolitano, it's great to see you. Have a great race. Thanks for
you.
being here.
Thank you for having me.
All right. And that's our program. Thank you for listening. First Coast Connect is produced by Stacy Bennett. Our associate producer is Isabella Casapow. Our show's directed by Brady Coram. And our theme music is performed by Club de Belugas. Join us tomorrow when we discuss the week's headlines, from aborted plans to get rid of the city's paratransit service to the start of the 2026 legislative session. I'm Ann Schindler. You've been listening to First Coast Connect on WJCT News 89.9.
Support for First Coast Connect is provided by Baptist Health and the North Florida TPO.
Congaree & Pen, dedicated to agriculture and culinary endeavors, offering field-to-fork dining and outdoor experiences on over 300 acres. Sip, dine, explore. Information at congareeandpen.com. The North Florida TPO is dedicated to transportation planning, funding, clean fuels, and new technologies for a vibrant, resilient, and connected region. More information available at northfloridatpo.com. Baptist Health is a proud supporter of First Coast Connect. Baptist Health, committed to building a healthier community for all of us. More info at 202-4YOU or baptistjacks.com.
This is WJCT News 89.9 Jacksonville. Up next, national and local news from NPR and